number 18 in the Kenpo Karate for Christ Purple Belt curriculum is Defying the Storm. For Defying the Storm, we're going to look at the technique of, with Calming the Storm, we kind of looked at the technique of alternating maces. Said, well, what if it's a club attack? Could you do alternating maces for club attack? Now with Defying the Storm, we're going to say, could you do 5 swords for a club attack? And that's kind of what Defying the Storm is, or how that one's going to work. Now, of course, they've got a weapon, so I don't want to trust just hitting somebody while they've got this weapon the entire time. But it's going to set up the same way 5 swords does. And then because of the attack, your options have changed. And you don't have the same choices that you did before. And we're going to have to use, instead of where 5 swords is a very, very karate answer to a problem, where we're kind of beating them into submission with force there to answer the attack. This time we're going to use a jujitsu, more of a jujitsu answer, and the force involved there, so that we can control them in this case, because they've got that club. We don't want to just, rely on our strikes while they've got this weapon that they come at us with. So, what's happening again is, like Calming the Storm, we're doing that angle 3 here, that kind of inward horizontal strike, and you're on the tip of that arc, where that stick is moving the fastest, that outer point, and that's a dangerous place to be. So once again, we want to get inside that arc. We're going to advance forward. And like I said, with it being 5 swords, but for a striking a club technique, we're going to utilize this forearm shield that we used last time. The inward block with the front hand, and this kind of vertical outward block with the back here, where both hands are absorbing that strike, or the arm portion, right? This isn't for the stick. You want to be close enough now that you're out of range of the stick here, and we want to contact the arm with ours using this forearm shield here. One hand kind of on the end of the forearm, just like 5 swords does, and the other one kind of cutting into the bicep is a good place to be. One of the points I need to make with this and 5 swords is, with 5 swords, you can hit this pretty hard, and as they're coming in with that inward haymaker punch, the force that you use here, if you knocked his arm away, that'd be okay, because we're going to follow up with our strikes there. So you can hit that arm, and they can kind of bound right off your defense, and almost like you're chopping into their attack. We don't want to do that in this case. We don't want to hit their arm while they're holding a club, and it bounce back. Even if that hurts, you've just made them angry, and they've got a weapon they're going to come right back in on. So we want to more absorb the force this time, whereas in 5 swords, you can absorb it, technique still works great, or you can almost thrust into them with that first move, and it can almost be an attack into their attacking weapon. In fact, generally, that's how it's taught traditionally, that way. So with Defying the Storm as it comes in, more receiving this time than thrusting into them. Using both arms, and I'm catching their arm here. Again, I want to follow up with that sword hand, but I can't just leave this arm unattended because it holds a weapon. So I'm going to grab hold of that wrist. Hold in the right wrist with the left hand while you outward sword hand strike to the side of the neck. Now from here, my options have changed. I can't release that hand that's got a weapon to pivot for that palm strike. It's got a weapon. It's going to follow up with an attack, and my palm strike to his chin might hurt, but it knock him back, and he's got a weapon with a greater range. So we don't want to make him angry. We want to defeat them while we can, while we've got the upper hand. So, step in, use this forearm shield idea to receive that attack, grab the arm, and outward sword hand to the neck. Now I'm going to hold that arm. I'm going to come back and, using that crane hand idea, hook over the arm, trying to catch right behind the elbow where I can lock his arm straight. And as I do that, that will affect them into the shoulder, kind of pulling their right shoulder towards you. That's what you want. And we're going to step back. Think of like a push and pull action. I'm pulling with the right at the elbow. The other hand's pushing and turning a little bit. Turning kind of like the motorcycle. Starting the motorcycle. I give a little bit of a twist with my left hand as I pull back here. And what that will do is it will pull them forward, lifting their arm up vertically, and it locks at the shoulder that way. It's setting a vertical shoulder lock to their right arm. They're still holding the stick the whole time though, so I don't want to ignore that. Instead of receive, grab, hand sword, I hook the elbow here, and I turn a little bit at the wrist as I step back with the right, pull their elbow forward, which will pull their shoulder down. And you'll have their right arm in this kind of vertical shoulder lock position. From here, I want to come up with the knee. The knee can go to the head. That'll work also. I like to knee the top of the shoulder. There's a lot of nerves that are usually covered by the muscles of the shoulder. The deltoid comes over those nerves. But when you've turned that wrist, right, like that motorcycle twist, turns that wrist and it kind of exposes a hole there. And so right at the head of the shoulder there, it's exposed. And with the tip of your knee or the top of your knee, you can smash that point. And the whole arm will go numb when you hit it just right. As you're fine-tuning the technique, that's a fun target to use. Initially, self-defense-wise, the head's just as good. Head's right there. So just at your own level as you're learning this technique, keep in mind another option is to hit that shoulder if you want to, as opposed to the head. But I'm going to come up with this knee, hitting into the shoulder. The right arm's going to orbit, and when I drop forward, I'm landing down with that right elbow onto their back, this way. Now from here, I'm just going to grab hold of the stick. And as I start my full cover out, I'm just twisting a little bit at the wrist here, kind of like wringing out a towel. It should pull the stick free of their hand without any trouble, kind of prying it free. It's not a real fancy disarm. You won't need one after that point if everything else has gone like it's supposed to. So again, Defying the Storm comes in at that inward arc, and I want to move in and receive the arm, grab, and immediately hand sword to the neck. I hook at the elbow, step, push and pull, and I'm turning that motorcycle a little bit there, locking the shoulder forward in a vertical position. And I pulled him into that tabletop. I'm going to knee, drop down with the elbow onto the back. I reach up, grabbing the stick, and just like I'm wringing the towel out a little bit, we'll disarm it. Most of the stick, when you disarm it, you'll be holding the shorter end up high, the lower end, the longer end will be out the bottom. That's fine with disarms. I have the weapon now, and you'll make your escape. One more time, let's Defying the Storm.